다 지다 단대 qabla 당가는 소 타마 록다운 지 깔레코 까 레다 옛나야 단 내리 섬로다나 내가 소소도 나네다 냠내 제고 고급지 차대로
Hi everyone. So the topic for tonight is explanation of Mani Mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. As you know, that Om Mani Padme Hum is the mantra of a Chenrezig, the embodiment of the compassion deity. So we are basically stuck at home, and in this epidemic time, although it's really sad that this is what is going on the other hand, for us like practitioners, for Dharma fellows, this is another opportunity to really make good use of our time.
제가 다 들이 다 오만 배면 대신 저어전에 땅도 다와다 로드 자요 그래서 아니 대신 들으지는 없는 엄마는 막고 시라셔 자세요 말에 아니 다 대모가 정도 아니 셴레즈다 다 저도 참아 바지 셴레즈가 와 토모니 바지 요 말에 제장아도 셴레즈 냠내 칭이 자자다 셴레즈다 데 당도 되는 아니 곰 잡다 냠내 칭이다스
And so the explanation of the Mani Mantra, there are various versions for the detailed the explanation of the mantra. It can go on days. Whereas for the shorter one, it's just like an explanation of the 6 syllables. But then I know that most of you have received empowerment, the Chenrezig empowerment. And therefore, I think since we received that, why not first we start with a meditation and a visualization of Chenrezig himself first, followed by the practice of the mantra and the explanation of the mantra.
제자 안에 당도 연락된 다한테 냠내 다 들이사니 저기다스
And so our practice will involve the 7 limb practices, starting with the 7 limb practices and followed by the next steps regarding the meditation on Chenrezig.
아니 다 나중에 다 단다 소소소 나라에 당도 곰자라 아니 같이 지금도 수치요 말에 아니 곰자라는 것도 답되고 쇼요래.
And because we are sitting at our own home, there is a less disruption for our practices for these days.
제가 단 바바 셴레즈 때 가서 배배가 나와이나 간제 사제 탐 주지 아니 지금 저와 이제 전부 다 라이즈도 샤와데 아니 다 라이즈도 샤가나서 다 메스 샤와데 아니 바바 셴레즈 나고 그랬어.
So Chenrezig is the expression and the embodiment of the loving kindness and the compassion of all the Buddhas, enlightened Buddhas, and that appear in form of deity.
아니 바바 셴레즈가 꿈도 대 남주 깔보레스 단대 가도 단당인데 꾸시샤다 다 꾸데 고 상에서 가오게 말해 남주잖아 꿈도 깔보레스.
And the color of a Chenrezig is pure white. I have here the display of a Chenrezig, but because it's a copper, it's not a white color. But the actual, for the meditation purpose, we should visualize a white Chenrezig.
아니 꿈도 깔보디 가르스나 아니 바바 셴레즈게 아니 다 가르고 다 당가도 세사 마치나 아니 지 랭아였음 참아 뉴모데 다사바이 뉴모 지오 메스 간제 가서 레치네 잡아 명예적으로 대도치 바이서 그러스.
The reason that the Chenrezig is a pure white in color, it's kind of expresses the purity that the Chenrezig is totally devoid of affliction, stainless from any form of affliction. So that color represents that stainless quality.
다 나중에 다 셰리들라 아니 셋당 아니 다 차동 첸동다 아니 차시와 다 대니 아니 남주 용자로 그래 셋당 아니 셰리들 다 섭단 담으라 뭐 요와 이바래 가자 냠렘바 소수고 아니 지금 나와 가래 오늘 되는 거요 그래서.
Chenrezig has many different forms, including 1,000-armed Chenrezig, four-armed Chenrezig, and sometimes also appear, for each practitioner in different forms according to our element and so on.
제가 아니 차에 발라딩데 다 차시에 차 담보니도 노신 탈모샤는 주대요레스 탈모샤 주대요레스.
The first two arms. So now we are describing the physical, the gesture and the form of the Chenrezig. Or for our purposes, the one we are practicing is a four-armed Chenrezig. So the first two hand is a folding gesture. You can see.
아니 되게 가르쳤나 아니 다 셰레스지 투라야 아니 탑 대바침부이시 딱 나도 전에 탑 대바침부이시 어선 총교레스.
And this is really the folding hand gesture represent the great bliss, the method of the great bliss that comes with the practice of the Tantra. So this is like an expression of his great bliss, being the nature of the great bliss.
아니 차예바 되게 노전에 아니 맷 가로 다 셔키 아니 럼보치인 trewaji 섬 주대요레스.
And then the second right hand is holding a crystal mala or rosary.
아니 텔라 안에 노르버다 인데 노르버 trewa다 가가 노르버인 바레스 노르버 페마치스 노르버레 노르버치 아따 노르버레스 마도 남주 노르버세에 저도 치지는데 아니 도스치는 라바 섬지는 노르버레스 대 노르버 마레스 대 노르문에 차로 요바딘 trewa데레스.
So that crystal is actually produced with a gem. Usually people think that a folding hand gesture is concealing a gem inside, but that's a mistake. Actually, it is the crystal mala, which is in a gem, or made of a gem.
되게 안에 지저 드메게 두절라 안에 가로 안에 탑 샹치고 세미가 총교레스. 그만 지저 좀 봐봐 시리스키.
This crystal mala made of a gem, or the gem crystal mala, represent the Chenrezig, has the bodhicitta. Chenrezig possess the method of a bodhicitta.
아니 다 나중에 차 요걸라 안에 메독 빼마신 남수거레스. 아니 되게 안에 봐봐 시리스 둘라야 안에 또만이 또 베샤르비 엄청 그래서.
And then on the left hand, Chenrezig is holding a Padme, the lotus, a flower, and that represents the emptiness, the realization of the emptiness of Chenrezig. So on the right, you're having this crystal mala, the representation of the bodhicitta mind. On the left, the Padme, which is the representation of the realization of emptiness, the shunyata.
제가 아니 딘디가 아니 바바치리데 괜찮은 참좀 노르브 빼마치에서 노르브 빼마치에 셀 배우레스.
And because of that, Chenrezig is sometimes called the jewel Padme holder.
하나 지금 만하다 빼매게 되나다 되는 되겠어.
And this is also the meaning of meaning of in the mantra you have mani and Padme. So these two words are representation of this emptiness and bodhicitta I just talked about.
제가 안에 저 좀매 좀 당아 좀아 자잘랍데 좀아 제세. 아니 바바 셰레 세계 차셔와 되가 나도 자와이나 냠네 치아요와. 아는 도짱바치네 냠네 치아바 되니자 총교레스.
So I'm sorry I keep saying Tara, but we are talking about the forearms. And by looking at this four-armed Chenrezig, and it's clear that what these four-arms represent is you can practice Chenrezig according to sutra approach, or you can also practice Chenrezig according to Tantra approach.
어떻게? 도저 다 던지가 바바 시리즈지 아니 파 꿈도 깔고 깔장해 봐. 아니 다나 지금 내가 우젠남 여봤지 다 소소 곰대가 선부터 고요레스.
So when you visualize the Chenrezig, so this is what we do. We visualize the Chenrezig with the forearms, each hands holding different devices or instrument, and then visualizing the crown on his head.
도치 곰대가 다 안에 남주변나 소소 시리즈 그 곰초 시리즈가 와토변나 소소 시리즈 연삼초래. 그래서 소소 시리즈 와토면나 아니 소소 고다 소소 파카 따주 톰바지 시리즈 지곰 소소 눈에 투양 시리즈 지곰 어도치 곰초래서 곰고요래.
So for the practice purposes, if you have received initiation or empowerment, you can visualize yourself. You can generate yourself as a Chenrezig deity. This is only for the people who received the full empowerment. If you haven't received the full empowerment, then you can visualize the Chenrezig on your crown, one statue, one form of Chenrezig on your crown, and then another form, the direct opposite of your crowns. And the one more in the Chenrezig and so for the people who haven't received the Chenrezig initiation, you have to visualize the two figures, one on your crown and one is directly opposite of that Chenrezig above your crown.
제가 신에도 야부 따고다 신에도 간데 요 야부 있어 섬나 샤와지 배나 믹섬잖아 나 소소 섬나들이지요 섬마 샤와지 지고다.
Therefore, it's very important you really closely observe the image of Chenrezig, and then you have to visualize that on your crown.
다들 용단데 담보 다 대단한 것도 신에도 질라고도 다 아니 신에도 신금도 가리 공고르나 아니 로보다라 신금자다 간제 다 간제 따남 빠나 간제 메토 담라고 손으로 메토다 마다 요사 아니 자치고 깨니고 자가 요사 아니 대나라 친구네 지 신에즈게 지 트로바다 안테레 뭐지 파 라다 라모 페게요사 간제 치는 따나 치는 만제와 치면서 대치라 선로다 대라야 아니 지금 다 아니 생기 다 간제 다 생기 주먹이 간제 아니 지 쇼지 아버지요 메토 빼마 대간라 쇼지 아버지요 같이 대간라 아니 드네지간라 아니 바바 신에즈 오늘 단다 신거 소샤자로 다 작은 소들도 쇼가 되면 다 들고니 상징고니 지였는데 다 섭단들이 있으면 고요.
So when you visualize Chenrezig, the deity, and it's aboard or the Chenrezig's the Pure Land, you can visualize the Chenrezig. It's sitting on a throne in a Chenrezig Pure Land. When you couldn't think of a Pure Land, you just visualize a beautiful garden or grove, or and in this there are a lot of birds flying freely. And there are many other deities, and so amidst of these, Chenrezig is outshining on your crown, and not just you visualize a kind of wood made or some kind of a solid substance produced the Chenrezig, but rather live the Chenrezig kind of really live, like any other enlightened beings.
아니 다 대체 대대신에 대지 이거 좀 당치러와 아니 다 나진 게다 아니 많은데 전에 고민 삼아라 아니 대가라 많은 가로 domala 때네 아니 가라서 치가서 아니 다 로바 리트게 야자 로바 리트게 다 녀모데 장고 요레스 대 야제 그 탐로데 파신 투게 냠네 체고 요레스 다데 장베 드레발라 아니 자바링아 팅올라 자바 도제 체가 아니 딱그 투그 드레바데 트병고 요레다 다데.
And so, having visualized the Chenrezig that I have explained, and then we do the actual practices. So when we do the practices, we doing including the mantra recitation. And so, what is the purpose of this whole practices of Chenrezig? the purpose of the this practice of the Chenrezig is to really purify the afflictions of the sentient beings, and to really through the practices of which is the method, the practices of six perfections, we really purify the sentient beings, and then what is the result to attain the enlightened qualities like that of the Chenrezig. So what is the purpose of the practice? Through these mantra practices and other elements in it, we try to really enable or awake the other sentient beings, help them to attain the enlightened qualities by means of implementing the six perfection practices.
와야 다 전망은 대신 자기 대링하고 또 가져 연락된 단 데베 셰레지 곰체 대 연락된 데베 냠네 차이다스.
So today I'm going to explain to you, or maybe give you instruction, how to practice Chenrezig with the practices of the six limb.
Okay. 다 나지게 변나 소소 변나 아니 셰레들 곰고요나 아니 동보 소소 아니 동바 저송 섬바지 동바 대안에 아니 이게 시직제 이게 셔대 아니 단다 가르쳐 바바셰드 저송 섬고 그래서.
So if you are generating yourself as a Chenrezig, first we start with the practice of the shunyata, the emptiness. Out of this emptiness, it arises the syllabus she, and this syllabus she transformed into a Chenrezig. At the center of this image there is the syllabus she.
이게 시마하고는 히트 가려는 선들이면 이게 근데 이거 삼고 내 퍼바시에 그 저송 삼고 그래서.
And so first carefully look at this syllabus at the center, because if you don't memorize that image, you wouldn't know how to visualize a syllabus she, and then that transformed into deity. So it's important first memorize that central syllabus. It's pronounced as a she.
Okay, that's she did that. That's some go does.
No.
Okay, what is that? Any she something on the college. What do you? Tangazo gomja tu chineta tambo tangi soso gomnya tuche soso gom majana ani tangi ngelaba naje che tindi papa shiri singam de sam ani tesamne ani ta papa shiri 그 제시 what's time.
So now we're going to start our practices. So basically, this is meditation practices. So we do the actual visualization together. So for people who have received the full empowerment of a Chenrezig, you can now generate yourself as a Chenrezig by following these steps that I have mentioned. For people who have not received the full initiation, and then you can visualize a Chenrezig on your crown that I have described before.
소소 언니 시리즈 깨봐야 단다 시리즈 눈을 곰초다 곰고요래서.
Those of practitioners who visualize themselves as a Chenrezig, you also need to visualize exactly an identical Chenrezig in front of you.
오야 당아도 빠지 까마 니라 차도 대야포 곰초. 시리즈 섭단되는 당한테 꾸šan도 와. 섭단들이 바치 이나셔다 끝까보이 곰고요래. 아니 차라 가린 남이와 예팔라 요월 때 따다 세워지 살마샤와 che셔왔어.
So for the next 2 minutes, we are going to do the actual visualization. The important thing is you first visualize the Chenrezig's pure land. Then you visualize the Chenrezig according to the steps that I have mentioned, including the arms, the number of the arms, what each arm is holding the instrument, and so on.
Okay. 다 소소가 된 돌아야 안에 차 타기 몇 바치 좋았어. 오늘 지난 것도 양한테 차 타고 다 때문에 소소가 차 타기 몇 바치 오늘 다 대바트 지도 다된 돌아야 안에 세타만 세우 요같이 다 소소 차다 차 되거든 소소 깜바디 소소 라바디 과바시네즈야 슈트가 따라 두고요 삼직 샤타 좋았어.
The next step is during prostration. So we all visualized a Chenrezig in front of us, and now we do the actual prostration. In the real practices, you have to do the prostration, but here, we are doing the meditation practices. So you imagine yourself prostrating in front of the Chenrezig, and you feel like your hand, as you stretch on the ground during the prostration, it's reaching to the bottom of the throne of the Chenrezig in front of you.
안에 소소 찍보만 잠벨레가 몇 참에 샤타요 삼고다세. 대하고요.
And to make this much more powerful practices, you can imagine not only you, but the entire sentient beings, entire human populations are prostrating to this Chenrezig that we have visualized in front of us.
아마 샤치만 샤 마보 피고에 삼다 좋았어.
And we imagine
칸에 많은 되게 누구 샤타 좋았어.
as we do the prostration, we're reciting a mantra, Omane Padme Hum, and we imagine that we're doing many prostrations.
뭐야 다 샤타죠. 다 알아서 다 가이 샤타 단 초밥 피고요. 그래서 단 초밥에 다 결하서 통관한도 다 메톡 빼 럼보체 단 담벨레가 야리 야색한가 년에 신동 담마다 메통 담마다 뭐 년에 다 소소 메다나르루네 수는 돌아 피고 삼다 좋았어.
And then the next is making offering. And here that we, imagine that we go to all these, huge grocery, departmental, and shops. Basically, we go to all these places and buying flower, the most beautiful, the most fresh, and the wonderful the smells. And so now we're making offerings of these flowers to the Chenrezig in front of us.
다는 이제 수수링아 여섬장 아니 메토다 신도 끝나봐 파 줘내야 파 피나야고 그래서.
And also you can visualize that your body, mind, and speech are transformed into countless flowers and making them as an offering. And also Geshe mentioned, as you offer the flowers, you can also imagine all this beautiful fruit that you can see usually in a market. And you can also making them as an object to Chenrezig.
아니 메토건 줘봐치네 니저 지금은 약보 쉬우지 소소와 다 되지 다는 지가 솔라야 봐 샤다 쉬고 깨니고 저 같은 데 삼다 좋아.
And when you do make the offerings of the flowers, you visualize that you make this most beautiful arrangement of the flowers. You produce this amazing, the bundles, the design and arrangement of the flower. In essence, the most appealing, attractive, and beautiful. And so you make them offering.
It's not just only you, like everyone's doing the offering, like very busy. 어째 당아도 당 샤자타레 아니 조바피타레 당아도 가래 당아도 남주에나 죽었고 그 연락을 다 티체 sab당아도 아니 나도라 전업 나로 나와서 다대다 전업 나로 나와서
이 샤브리 요마로 계시라.
티샤바 가도 야키로다
알았어.
아니 남주 아니 다 전업 나로지다 죽었고 연락 나와대 다 딘들랑도 야키치 샤바 넬키치
알았어.
근데 샤바도 숨바데 티 숨베 잡대 아니 죽었고 하거든 나도 전업 나로지 세다 당아도 해가자거든 당아도 가지 단다 나랑 주변 잠블리 심지 참아 또염내도 그 평원에 따지 레진나다 심지도 나도 완도 좀 마요와 쳇다 아니 파바 셰레지지 고소도 전업당아 나로치 세대 남주 죽었고 중고 추소로치 세대 잡대다스 다 소소거든 레와잡 잠블리 심지 참에 레와잡고 섬당고다스
알았어. So usually the third the practices of the seven limb is doing confession, but we're going to jump to the fifth one, where usually we request like a turning wheel of the Dharma. We're going to move this up at the present step. And instead of we're requesting the Chenrezig to turn the Dharma wheel, we're going to request Chenrezig to bless us as we are going through this really most difficult time of the, this epidemic. So we're going to request Chenrezig to shower us with Chenrezig's blessing.
아니 다 소소 차라야 라팔라야 메토니죠 럼보체레 드렸음 다나지가 소소 로파 3에 섬네 다 대치다 점치다 3에야 냠도 치네 아니 레바자가 요 삼고요레스
So we imagine that we're holding this beautiful flower arrangement, the flowers that we have prepared before, and everyone, all the sentient beings together at the same time, offering this flower to Chenrezig and requesting Chenrezig's blessing.
아니 셰레 저기야 투제 진짜야 켈레나송 섬에 수수섬나 가와지 검쇼스
As we make the request, then we imagine that the Chenrezig agreed with the most kind of a loving response given to us.
다 Chenrezig 다 간돌아야 아니 마 냠레데 가르나 버라 다 야라데 냠레 또 아니 다 녀바 드바샤바 야라 톱시다 데베거네 드바샤바데 마 나송 삼고 요레스.
And then next, we imagine that Chenrezig is 만나서는 갈 수 오래 계실래. 디그셔베
다 저런 거 드바샤가 냠레 제쇼스.
롭드나서.
아마 롭테 나서스.
So having offering these flowers, receiving blessings, and making supplications, Chenrezig to shower us with a blessing. You imagine the next Chenrezig is instructing us to do a confession, to cleanse our negative karma.
아니 대야 아니 Chenrezig 데베 마나단 데베 칸에 많은데 아니 삼라 아니 Chenrezig 곰 대야 아니 샘제 탐제 참이 제때 아니 다 많은 정화 예산be 된되게 냠내데 가라 마 나서 삼고 그랬을 때는 가도 야라되게 냠내 샤비 야나 제다스.
And then you imagine Chenrezig is giving us this like a instruction that while we are visualizing or meditating on Chenrezig, that we should practice, recitation of the mantra. This is a kind of instruction of how we cleanse our negative emotion and karma and so on. So you imagine that Chenrezig gave us this instruction, reciting a mantra while meditating ourselves as a Chenrezig or visualizing Chenrezig on your crown.
다 냠내데 가르고나 다 소소탄데 소소 고미오나 되게 소소는 아니 Chenrezig 투가라야 투는 니가 아니 땅도 나만이가 바로 카툭 따다로서 telaya 나라야 짜마여레 짜마여서 telaya 아니 다와치 다웨 대자 다웨 티가라 아니 예스시 다다스 부긴도 예스시 곰쇼스.
And then before we do the actual mantra practices, we visualize moon desk at our heart, where we visualize the syllabus she. So the heart is, imagined being level between our two breasts. And this is where our heart is located, and it's located at the central chakra. Avadhuti is like in the sphere of the Avadhuti, in our central chakra, at the level of the breast where heart is located. This is where we visualize the white moon disk with the syllabus she, white syllabus she.
But
this syllabus should be visualized at our heart and also at the heart of Chenrezig, both in front of us, or you're visualizing Chenrezig on your crown.
And
so at the back of this she, you visualize the Om, the white Om.
And it take Jawaringan Saja Nabanant Chogre, Saja Nabanant had a Kumdo Karbuchi Bares.
And this is the representation of the one of the five wisdom deity of Varuchana. Varuchana is a white color. We're going clockwise. When we go around these syllabuses, we're going clockwise.
And it is you the Laya and Mayor, my junket, Saja Tundrup, Toyota Chogres.
The next syllabus is the Ma, the green Ma, which is the representation of the wisdom of the Buddha Tenyotrava. I'll recall the name later. Amagaside.
And it is you the La Ane, not your, not the Serboyores, Tiger and Chinjone, Saja and Junsokures.
That's all. And the next one, you have this yellow knee, which is the representation of a Buddha Rinchen Jr., the Ratna.
That is what the 디오다 빼대 아니 자와가 보면 좋고요. 그래서
And the next one is the pet, which is the representation of Buddha Amita.
배우다고 보면
Long Geshe.
어디지 배우면 아니 디오들 안에 매대요. 그래서 매
Long.
매대는 사지 못 줘본 좋고요. 그래서
And the next one is the syllabus me, the red color me, and which is the representation of Buddha Akshabhya.
어디지 아니 대주들 안에 홍대 홍보래 대 자와 도제 담소고요. 그래서
Yeah.
자와 도제자
And the next one is the syllabus hum, the blue hum, which is the representation of Vajradhara.
어떻게 다들 곰자다 되게 단단하도 이게 다 프리자도 오늘 전 누수요 거다 저는 간 도구도 해
This is only one dimension, but when we actually visualize the mantras at our heart, it has to be 3 dimension. The letters are standing, and then going round the clock. The letters like the standing and going round the clock. It has to be 4 dimension, right? Because this is like 1 dimension, so it seems like they're laying down. But this is not the case. You visualize the syllabus standing and going round the clockwise to the shi. The same thing, the syllabus shi should be standing.
어떻게 다 나도 다 많이 drago 다 됐습니다. 단대 곰이요 마늘한 너 지나 거라고 소소 마늘다 셰레제가 마늘다 또 다운 안에 테네서 고연발 어디 세워 사와 요지 아니 삼체 참아 다대야 아는 로와를 둘라 포이거든 로와를 파포 아니 되게 랭게 뒤덮다 로와를 자르게 모두 자이레스.
And then the next thing is we visualize the syllabus shi surrounded by the Om Padme Hum going clockwise. They're all standing like a 3 dimension. And as you recite the mantra, the light in like a rainbow like a color, a different color, the light is coming, shining from this syllabus shi and the Om Padme Hum, going out of your body or that of the body of the Chenrezig, if you're visualizing Chenrezig on your top or crown. And this light reaching to the 6 realms of all the sentient beings. This light is really reaching to each sentient being, and by the kind of a touch or the shower or the power of the light is transforming the sentient beings by cleansing their negative karma, affliction, and by really thoroughly cleansing and transforming them into the word samlo generously gyursun samdangul.
그것도 파 잡지 아니 셰레드게 전럽대 섬제 참마라 폭송섬 되네 섬제 참배게 링하였음지 뒤럽 다송 강에 차동 세송 섬고지 셰레드 저송 섬고지.
And then as you visualize this light goes through the 6 realms and reaching to all sentient beings, and the light is cleansing them of all the negative karmas, the root of the karma, affliction, and so on. And you imagine by the power of this light, all the sentient beings has been thoroughly cleansed. All the negative karma, the root of the karma, such as affliction and so on, they are all thoroughly cleansed. So they are free or devoid of any fault.
어제 다 도전에 아니 당아도 많이 dra인데 더 많이 dra인데 도전 많이 dra인가도 까마 쫑아도 많이 dra인데 that's.
So for the next 15 minutes, we are going to recite the mantra with this visualization that I have just described to you.
아니 근데 전럽대야 저 많지와 전럽대 안에 야데 지금 찍지 보면 야네 요거 말씀 다 좋았어.
And you visualize that this blessing, is constantly, continually, taking place. As you recite the mantra, the light goes out of your heart, or from the 6 syllables and the central syllabus shi, reaching to all sentient beings in the 6 realms in the samsara, and cleansing their negative karmas, freeing them of any from any fault, including of any like grasping mind and afflictions, and they become totally, thoroughly cleansed and purified. And as you imagine that, you recite Om Mani Padme Hum, and we're going to do that for the next 15 minutes.
배차잖아. 이게 막 셴레즈 그러면 셴레즈에서는 마음도 안 되면은 배나 전업때 막 쳐보요. 배나 가도 파이프 쳐보 가도 동요 와. 동 가도 라도요 와. 이게 다 같이 뭐 이거 갖추지요 와. 이게 막 쳐보 지네요. 소소마 주주 소중 거 내라 랩지. 아니 내내 말 전업 쇼가라 소소 링아 예선지 뒤다 바자나 쳐봐. 수거다 도거 나바지네 수보실라도네 사고마 사고마 도송. 근데 야 만에 담발드네 야 되게 어여지 줄로 파
So as we do the mantra practices, so we visualize, the Chenrezig, or from the Chenrezig that we visualize in front of us, the nectar, the pure nectar, like a white color nectar, is like reaching to our crown, and we, visualize something like something like where you have like a pipe, the opening is much wider, and the end is narrower, which is on our crown. It's like with light, and as all the blessings going through our head and cleansing all of our body, like we're receiving really quite a powerful shower. And with this, like a light blessing coming from the Chenrezig in front of us, and washing us, and of all our negative karma, affliction, obstacles, and so on, and cleansing us thoroughly. And as we, recite the mantra, we do this visualization. And then again, as we're cleaned, as we continue reciting the mantra, the light from the 6 syllables and the central syllables Shi at our heart, the incredible amount of light shining and coming out of these celibacies and reaching, going out of our body system, reaching to all the sentient beings in the 6 realms and cleansing them, thoroughly cleansing them of their negative afflictions, karmas, and obstacles, and so on. And we imagine they're thoroughly cleansed and they become free of any negative karmas or afflictions or obstacles. So these 2 visualizations we can do in alteration as we do the recitation of the mantra.
다는제 단다 만약에 더 소다근도 앞에 자와링아 지티가 자와도지 저도다. 진짜 바바 시리즈가 아니 달로코라 진짜 자와링아도 고고요 삼바치 삼고 그래서.
And also you can imagine that the mantra surrounded the mantra, which we already told you is the representation of the Buddha jhana, the 5 or 6 wisdom Buddhas. So you imagine the Chenrezig at the center. You can visualize Chenrezig at the center, and then surrounded by the 6 wisdom Buddhas, including the Dharma, include the Vajradhana. And so these, like 6 wisdom Buddhas go around clockwise to the Chenrezig, which is at the center, and you can visualize that and continue to recite mantra.
Okay, 당고도 많은 사긴다스.
And so now we are going to start our recitation.
Okay, 까마 파지 까마 종아 인다스.
Maybe we do about 15 minutes.
아니 소소 다는지 줄럽 무슨 배조 책이야.
And as we do the recitation, we continue doing this like a blessing, receiving blessings from the Chenrezig, cleansing our negative, forces and so on. And at the same time, from after that, then the next, meditation is as we recite the mantra, the nectar or light going out of our heart, reaching to all the sentient beings and cleansing them of their negative karma, obstacles, afflictions, and so on. And at the end, we imagine they're thoroughly cleansed. They're totally freed of their affliction and so on.
제가 대자와 땅에 만약에 류진데 가시 류명들이 여와나 양 류연의 팽그리 많은 류진데
So first I'm going to give you a transmission, the oral mantra, in case some of you have not.
전지야마고 검도거라 조송제제가 라주 티지신진로 라주 신뢰에서 라샹도로 오만의 변명호 오만의 변명호 오만의 변명호 오만의 변명 오만의 변명 오만다 Also you don't have to say very loud, you can do without sound, you can hard.
So
Now everyone start to Oman Pemahu, okay? Also try to keep your visualization. This is very important. Also you don't have to recite very loud, you can recite your heart, keep your visualization. Oh yeah. 다쳐도 고미하고 줘서해.
How was your practice?
제자간도 그 남내 제단 누설다. 남주 제단가도 하코에 제거하는 가도 라레 따고 말았다. 남내 제자만 무슨 텔레파 슝이 제거요 그래서.
So this is how you really do the actual practices. Usually we hear so many teachings, but we hardly do any practices.
제자간도 라레 마다나 점대도 통고요 말아.
And if we don't practice, we don't get the result.
제자간도 칼라 소시와지 칼라 마소 집어차도 그러. 칼라 마소는 칼라라고 말아 소시나.
It's like we know how to cook, but we never taste it. But the actual practice is like tasting the food.
오케이. 어때지? 다단다 남주 많은 거 없다 대신에 많은 간데 가로 저쪽을야 가서 맞아 추다도 내가 손대만 보여 그래서. 다 가지고 그 소시지 들으면도.
Usually when we look at the six, mantra, the six syllables of the Mani mantra, you see that 5 different colors is there. And, people wonder why they, each syllables have a different color. But here, as we go through the practices, each color represents a certain quality. So it's a very profound meaning for each of these colors.
당에 된 러시 때 자네야. 러시 때도 맞는 저도 많은 러시 잠을 챙겨 왔어.
So I need to explain to you a little bit about these, colors and so on. Otherwise, you think I didn't do my job of explaining Om Padme Hum for tonight's program.
근데 깔라도도 세당 많은 가르치는 소리지 납해 봤어. 양 전다 신바요 그래서 고대어지.
We already talked about, what each of the color represent which wisdom Buddha.
제가 다 옴세디 이게 가오데 옴라 그래 보이라 이 옴. 아니 내가 다 소미어서 말씀세. 내가 안에 다 빌링하였습니다. 마다 빌링하였음 총교였어. 조제랬어.
So now, the other explanations for each of the syllables, on top of, each representing the 6 wisdom Buddha. For example, Om. The Om, the sound Om, which is abbreviated for Om Ahum. And that represents the true qualities. The
no, 3 qualities.
It represents the true qualities. One is the impure qualities of our body, mind, speech. Also, it represents the pure, the enlightened qualities of body, mind, speech. Right?
No. 제자 아니 지도 바바 신의 제가 아니 고소 투테다 링아에서 눈물을 다 버려 가서 맞다 버려 가르치는 영어나 코 바바 신의 타와데 가르치는 영어나 많은데 빼매 냠선나 맞는 영어를 뜻 많이 그래서.
So the pure the qualities of Chenrezig, which is the enlightened qualities of the Chenrezig. Why is Chenrezig's quality is enlightened? This is because due to the next 2 syllables, ma and ni, the next 2 qualities, each qualities are represented by ma and ni.
Mani
has to jigbe르스는 가서.
Yeah. 마다 눈이게 아니 노르번 소바치. 빼매가 아니 샤람 토거로.
And the mani, the true syllables represent
노르보.
the jewel.
다 노르번 다 녜마
is the lotus.
제자 다 녜마이나 안가도 다 자가라 노르번 사지까지 미참바 강에 사지 그래 다 대상 개요마가 다 고대오체나 나도 응우도 속에서 응우요와이나 아니 첸디가 또 땀살라 강에 됐으면 되게요 말했어.
So mani, which its meaning is jewel. In the past, in Indian kind of mythological story, it's like a jewel that will free you from any poverty and so on. It's maybe hard for us to really get this concept. So let's be practical. And so imagine money is just like a money. When you have plenty of it, it really eases your life, right? It kind of provides you with, the basic need with the money.
제가 소주 사야단 돈야도 고야 대사라 강인 책 말에 뒷강인 세계를 봐서 무효와이나
When you have enough money, it will solve your living, the problem of, living cost.
이나 다 디산 요야라고 보다야.
Still these days, even you have money is a problem. You cannot find
어디
to buy.
어디 디가 가르도는 아니 디가 샹십섬 총거래. 저야도 샹십섬 총거래. 샹십을 섬요나 가래 무고 섬쟁에 너든 저와 나지 샹십을 섬게 섬쟁에 너든 접도 그래.
So money, which represent in a meaning as a gem or in a jewel, or in our cases like a money. So what did this money represent? It's really represent the Buddhist mind. This is because like when you have a lot of money, it will provide you all the needs that you have to have. Likewise, when you have a bodhicitta, it will provide you all your needs for your, dharma practice, for your enlightened, qualities.
다 나중에 샹적의 샘책은 도바접도 그래서 다 나중에 샘책은 도바접도 그래. 아니 무유나 무 샘책은 도바접도 그래서 어다때 빼든 되도록 그래서.
Like money, which can fulfill the need of the sentient beings. When you have a bodhicitta, it will, when we have a bodhicitta, we will be able to fulfill the need of the sentient beings. So just like money. Is this easy to understand? Maybe shake your head because I can't hear your voice. Is this easy? Is this explanation easy?
So
if we just say jewel, and it's really hard for us to imagine because we don't know the quality, don't know the color. So if we use like a money, currency, it's easier for us to get the meaning out of it.
제자 아니 무그 샘책의 에너지가 동아만보지 세트와야 나지 샴바다 니제요나 샘책의 동아만보 세트 그래 샘책의 라와만보 까도 그래 된속 그래 그래서 다 대다데 샴바다 니제 공부 그래 스텔라 그래.
So like money, which will addresses a lot of the needs of different sentient beings. When we have a bodhicitta, we will be able to provide with the needs of the sentient beings. So the important thing is that we have to practice loving kindness and compassion. Like when we look at this method and wisdom as a larger picture, this belongs to the method part.
아데올라 안에 빼다매 이게 못자다 이게 마보진도 대치 바레스 빼매 사이드 안에 된다 조데 안에 메도 빼마데 나바나 제와나 안에 코나가 라지타마이 바나시 단다 가라주 셈 대차 셰단 녀모 온데 제와나 가라서 로조 제나 간도 냠네 제와이나 간도 녀모 타라베이 그래서 디도다레스.
So the next syllables, pe, me, Padme in Sanskrit, it's a lotus, and what this really represents is the lotus or lilies, right? In some cases, were born out of marsh, out of dirt, and even out of compost. And although this, lotus born out of this dirt and so on, it still stands stainless. It's not, affected by this dirt where it's actually initially came from. So likewise, although we are under the influence of affliction right now, but through the practices, we can also cleanse our stains. We can also remove the afflictions from our, our mind. So that represents that quality. So it's advising us that it is telling us that we must know how to do this practice of the method.
대마제나 배나 우요나 우들 배제당 마지나 수도 도고 강에 세트고 말해 대듯이 말해서.
Also, this mantra is teaching us not only that money is method, right, bodhicitta, but if we do not know how to use it, we wouldn't be able to make the best out of it. Just like someone has a lot of money, but that person didn't know how to use it. What is the point of having a lot of money? Likewise, when we have a lot of the qualities of bodhicitta, but if we don't know how to use it, it wouldn't be as effective as other ways.
제가 고대와잖아. 말아도 강 시샤와 남배 출로전에 강 시샤와 대 삼나 잘고 그랬더라 그랬다.
And so the advice is here is whatever the knowledge that we have learned, we must put this into practices. So the emphasis is here.
다 홍세대가 된데가 냠내데 가데나 카마트와 냠내 여바지 냠내 제시바 니가 고래서도다.
So we have the Mani, Padme, and then finally syllabus Hum. So Hum is saying we talked about the Mani as a bodhicitta mind, Padme as the wisdom, and the Hum is telling us that we should combine them. We should practice them in union, without any contrast, without any conflict. But the practice of the method and the practice of the wisdom should be in a single unity. We shouldn't separate. We shouldn't discriminate. We shouldn't differentiate the value of the method and the wisdom, but we should really balance and harmonize and bring the two together under one stream or streamline them.
Okay, 다 들이들으려고 이해스러워. 다 당게 당강가도 곰잡아 두시는 곰잡죠. 샤도 산이 맞아. 다 많이 가졌다다. 다 소소 날 대들 되세 차도 여러 왔어. 소소 날 많이 싸 곰대 잡셔 왔어.
So we're going to stop here. We're all at home, at our own home. So we can continue these practices. The one I just told you is starting from the visualization of the Chenrezig, ending toward the mantra and visualization and thinking about the meaning of the mantra. And you can, we all at home, we continue practice.
제가 안에 산이 다 되는 마야 많은 드고 레레가 인도와리 두고 동화 가니까 세요 레레 좀 되시더라고요. 양아도 곰잡아. 또다 곰잡아 내가 좀 잡아도.
So tomorrow we will continue explaining what is each syllabus says, what each syllabus really stands for, on top of it's being the wisdom and compassion. Now each syllabus also sometimes represent each realm of the samsara. I'll go over that tomorrow.
Okay, 다 된다 지워대 안에 단계 님만 나와나니 진짜 곰잡 만에서 곰잡 아니 무슨 배정치 다 땐데 팽그래서.
So the most important and the powerful benefit of this Chenrezig is that we practice. That you practice as I taught, including visualization, the visualization of the mantra, receiving blessings, and this, will definitely help you. So the important here is that whatever we just have heard, studied, we must put this into our practice and continue to practice by reciting mani, doing the visualization, and it'll bring you good.
Okay. 안에 변화 소소고 이래도나 소소 니달라 다데 만에도 왔지. 안에 만에도 꼬라지는 로기 왔었다고다 소소.
And so you can visualize that syllabus Shi surrounded by the 6 syllables Omni Padme Hum. And this, Omni Padme was going round at your heart clockwise. As you recite the mantra, these syllables, going around, circumambulating the syllabus Shi.
Okay. How's it? Do you understand a little bit? I taught you very katang yetande desheja de ko deona wachi.
Long. I have been trying to make this as accessible as possible, making this, really much accessible, so that you will benefit out of it. So at the end, when you actually do the mantra recitation, you should be able to visualize what we taught here tonight. For that, you should practice.
Okay. So
today there will not be QA session. You just write down the question you have and bring them back tomorrow, and then we'll go over that tomorrow.
Okay. So I
know that all of you are seasoned Buddhist practitioners, and the more I talk, it'll make less sense. But in fact, if you put this into practices, then it will be meaningful. Besides, I also have to do another session with a group of Tibetans, which is coming up.
So I do not
want to cancel that class, because we have been doing this continuously for the 46th day. Today is the 46th day of our practices, and a lot of them are waiting. I decided to cancel that because you're all at home, and I already taught you what we should be practicing. So you just continue doing this visualization practices.
And
as you recite the mantra and do the visualization, then you'll feel something. You will get a really strong potent feeling.
Okay. Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow morning. I want you guys to some more, not just Om Mani Padme, Om Mani Padme, Om Mani Padme, Om Mani Padme, the watch news Om Mani Padme, not like that. Very serious to stay your home, just meditation Om Mani Padme, okay? It makes you change. If you say Om Mani Padme, Om Mani Padme, walk around, then you are calling the phone, Om Mani Padme, it doesn't change, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Geshe.